Hi there, my name is Mallory and this is I Wonder About Things. Welcome to this brand new podcast and thank you so much for hitting the listen button. Have you ever wondered about things like why people say cheese when they're posing for a picture or why Wednesday Addams is named after a day? I have, and I want answers. So every Wednesday, I'll sit down here at my desk and do my best to provide you with a great and informative podcast episode. In I Wonder About Things, I will try and answer all the questions that have been on my mind for the past 30 years. And let me tell you, you will learn a lot of things. I came up with the idea of the podcast after I was told to say cheese for a picture, and I was like, where did that come from? I need to find out more about this and share it in a podcast. And each episode will be about one thing I'm wondering about because, I'm wondering about a lot of other things. And I have to tell you, I have a full season of episodes in store already. In case you missed last week's episode, I talked about the practice of the aperitif from its origins to its evolution throughout the centuries. And you can still listen to episode 2 actually, it's available on many platforms. Okay, now episode 3 of I Wonder About Things. Are you ready to find out about today's topic? So today I'm talking about gender colors. Like, yes, how did pink become a color for girls and blue for boys? When did it start? I desperately need to find out about that. Indeed, that's a really interesting question, and I guess a lot of people are actually wondering about it. As, we can all relate to gender colors in one way or another. For years, we've all lived and operated in a world where pink is traditionally seen as a feminine color, while blue is reserved for boys, and that's, well, let's say a general rule. And we can see this rigid dichotomy everywhere from, greeting cards to children's clothes and toys. So why is blue a color assigned to boys and pink to girls? We have to go back to Greek antiquity to explain the differentiation. At the time, having a boy rather than a girl was considered a blessing from the gods, and the color blue was assigned to the newborn baby boy, and it meant the color of heaven, the home of the gods. And later it took a different turn. I'm thinking the Middle Ages. Pink is a sort of pastel red, and it was finally considered a masculine color, which is interesting, and it symbolized strength and virility. And the color blue was considered to be a girl's color because it echoed the purity of the Virgin Mary, hence, its more feminine connotation. And I also found out that in the 18th century in Versailles, France, Madame de Pompadour managed to put pink back into fashion for girls, although it was, considered a color for boys. And so much that the whole court, including the little girls, had to follow the trend, as pink was associated with the feminine values of the time: beauty, softness, and fragility. However, as far as babies and children are concerned, in general, gender-neutral clothing was the norm, and the concept of associating individual colors with genders didn't really start to happen until the mid-19th century for them. For centuries, children were used to wearing white clothes up to the age of 6, and even if the pictures were black and white, you probably have seen some photos of children of the time wearing white dresses, male or female. In fact, the color white was the preferred color due to the fact that it was very easy to clean using bleach, and children wouldn't really start wearing more colorful attire and gender-specific items like shirts and skirts until they reached the age of 6. I remember that picture of Franklin Delano Roosevelt taken in 1884. You should go check it right now and see. He is So cute. So back then, mid 19th century, pastel colors started becoming popularized for babies and little ones in general, and the individual colors of pink and blue started to be linked with one gender or the other, again, but remember, not in the way we might expect as 21st century individuals. In fact, blue was usually worn by girls and pink was reserved for boys. So, as I said earlier, blue was the color assigned to girls because it was seen as a more delicate and dainty color. Plus, it was believed that the color blue was associated with the Virgin Mary, while pink was considered as being a more decided and stronger color, so more suitable for a boy. Not only these colors were assigned to either boy or girl, but they were also chosen to complement hair and eye colors. And sources said blue was flattering for blondes and pink for brunettes, and also blue was for blue-eyed babies and pink for brown-eyed babies. In 1927, so a bit later, Time magazine printed a chart showing sex-appropriate colors for girls and boys, according to leading American stores, and as a consequence, the major stores told parents to dress boys in pink and girls in blue. And strangely enough, in the wake of World War II, it changed and pink suddenly started being marketed and sold by fashion brands and retailers as the perfect color for women, while blue was certainly masculine, and it just remained like that. So the baby boomers in the 1940s were raised in that sex-specific clothing that we are familiar with today, and boys were dressed like their fathers and girls like their mothers. And then the 60s and the 70s came with many movements like the women's liberation movement, and they thought that dressing young girls in feminine or let's say like stereotypically girly clothing would certainly limit the girls' prospects for success, and many parents began favoring neutral colors in fashion again. Gender-neutral clothing remained popular until about the mid-80s, and then, boom, it came back. Gender-oriented kids' clothing came back into fashion strongly, and also what we can call the wave of girly pink. I was born in 1986, and I can clearly remember wearing those flashy pink outfits, that Barbie pink. Also, it must be said that marketing strategies targeting children found one key recipe, like amplify age and gender differences to better appeal to them. We all remember the Action Man versus the Barbie dichotomy on the shelf, and it worked at least until, I would say, the beginning of the 21st century. And another reason for the fact that gender colors came back strongly in the mid-80s is that at the time parents were finally able to find out about the sex of their baby before the baby's birth, thanks to prenatal testing. They could learn the sex of their unborn baby and then go shopping for girl or boy items, from clothes, diapers, and crib sheets to bigger things like strollers and toys. Today, some brands have since gone down the road of gender neutrality, particularly in Anglo-Saxon countries, and many of them now offer unisex collections for children. As for adults, we are slowly but surely moving towards brands that are much more fluid in their representation of gender, whether it's clothing or cosmetics. But cliches are still there, especially in advertising. You just have to browse the toy catalog for Christmas, and I don't know about you, but I personally think that we still have a long way to go. I have a 6-year-old son, and some brands just need to try harder and make some efforts. Before closing this episode, I would like to say that I am no expert, I am no historian, I just like talking about different topics. But if I'm wrong about some of the facts I mentioned in this episode, it wasn't intentional, of course, and I aim to be as informative and close to the truth as possible. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to episode 3 of I Wonder About Things. If you liked it and want to support me, I would highly suggest you hit the subscribe button so you can listen to the podcast anywhere, anytime, and not miss any notifications. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.